All right, I want to build some front recovery for this truck. So we talked about it. We're going to put the stock bumper back on the truck for now. Too many other projects to really devote any time to building a front bumper. So we're going to go with the stock one. I mean, they look pretty nice on these trucks anyway, so it's not that big a deal. But obviously it's not going to fit right away. The leaf springs, the hanger kind of hangs down, so we're going to have to notch one little spot on each side of the frame. The bumper, this is one of the bumper bolts here. The other one is over here somewhere. Sky didn't put it in the bracket, so I'm going to try and transfer that through because I think it'd be really cool to be able to bolt it up 100% stock. But before we get the bumper on the truck, I would really like there to be some kind of front recovery on this thing. There's really no good way to do it with the spring hangers on here. So what I think I'm going to do instead is I have this scrap here, which is 2.5 quarter wall, so 2-inch ID. So this will be perfect to build a front receiver. So I'm going to get in here, find center, whack this thing off in the middle, and try and figure out roughly where that's going to fit. And then we'll come back, we'll pull the bumper out, we'll notch the bumper, we'll make the bumper fit, I got to figure out depth. I don't know how far forward or back I need the receiver to go so that you can actually use it when the bumper's installed. So we'll sort all that out, and then we're going to go back in and add a couple more gussets and stuff, because I want to make sure that no matter how hard we pull on this thing, we don't mess the front end up. So I'm just going to dig in here and I'll show you what I got. Okay, I have the cross member here notched, ready to go for our receiver. I have the bumper brackets off the bumper, trying to figure out roughly where they need to go. It looks like originally it was about here on the frame horn. Obviously we're gonna have an issue here. Ford's original lower bumper hole is somewhere in this general area, but Skies didn't use that one for whatever reason. They wanted this hole down here, probably to spread the load. It doesn't matter. Don't think I'm transferring that one through. You can kind of see it over there, but I think it's going to be a pain in the butt to try and use that. I don't know. It might be easier to modify the bumper brackets to go to this bolt. So I think for now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get the bumper up in the air. I'm going to get it loosely bolt it back onto these brackets, get it roughly aligned so I can see where on the frame the bracket has to go, see what we have to do to the bumper to clear the spring eye, and then from there I can figure out how far out we want the receiver hitch to come, where I'm going to have to cut the bumper, blah blah blah. So we set this camera down, get this bumper up in the air, and let's see what we're doing today. All right, I got the bumper roughly mounted. I can't stand it upright because, as expected, the leaf springs are hitting the bumper. So it's pretty much what you'd expect. Ford has a relief there in the bumper to clear the leaf springs on the stock 250s and 350s. So since these springs are longer, looks like we're just gonna have to notch a little bit more. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna pull it back off, and we'll come up maybe up to like this line here, mimicking the original notch in the bumper, and then we'll see. I'd rather make a couple small cuts than one big one and end up screwing the bumper up. So let me pull this thing back off, and we'll mark off, make a few choice cuts, put her back on again. Okay, bumper's off. You can see a little clearly what I'm talking about here, Ford's relief for the leaf spring trucks. So all I'm going to do, I think I'm just going to follow that line, come down here, and come right back up again. And we'll do the same on both sides, and then we'll stuff her back up there and see how much more we got to cut off. Okay, holy crap. This was a pain to do by myself. Bumper's on and aligned, basically good to go. My idea for notching the bumper worked beautifully, just enough room. I trimmed the plastic for now. I'm not really in love with it. I'm probably just gonna take it off because I'm sure it's just gonna get broken and torn off anyways. But that's minor detail. I'm not worried about that right now. What I need to do now is finalize my bumper mounting. So you can kind of see where we're at here. The bottom here is basically touching this bolt, so that should be fairly straightforward. I'm just gonna very carefully massage this corner a little bit and take a little material off so it's not touching anymore. And then I'm just gonna transfer this line over, pull the bumper back off, and see where in here the original hole in the frame lands. And then I'm just gonna drill straight through the sky bracket, and we'll try and reuse that hole. It's gonna kind of suck to get a nut in from the backside, but I still think it's gonna be less work than trying to do anything else. So I guess grab my scribe, and then I guess we're gonna try and take this bumper back off again. Success! It was not easy. Well, okay, it wasn't terrible, but it barely fits. Notched the corner just a little bit, and we did actually manage. This is ignore the hardware. This is all temporary. We did manage to hit the original hole in the frame horn, so that's really cool. All we had to do was show a hole in Sky's bracket, so that's cool. So that solves that problem. Bumper is installed in its new home. So next thing we got to do is figure out where our front receiver hitch is going to land. So I've already got my cutout right here, and it's difficult to tell on the video, but it actually does not stick down that high, or it's not up that high, I guess you could say. I'm going to set it in the center, so we are going to have to notch the bumper a little bit, conveniently right where that rivet is, which is leaning more and more towards all the plastic going away. But it's not going to take too much, so I'm going to get in here. I'm going to nip this a little bit so we can set our receiver tube up in place and see how far out we want this thing to stick. All right, I've got a rough idea where we're going. I got a small cut made, or mark made right here. We're not coming all the way up to this edge. Not yet anyways. This should be just enough to fit. So here goes something. Okay, this, I don't know what we're gonna do. All right. So now this guy. Oh hell yeah. Okay. We may end up cutting a little wider. No, scratch that. Not wider. We may have to come up a little higher. That's okay. We'll do that when the bumper's off. Okay, so the plan is to be able to use the winch on the front of this thing. Should probably go get the winch. All right, here's our winch. It's just an old 8000 XI, or wait, X8000i. Sorry. This thing has basically lived on my trailer forever. We've used it more for either yard work or scrapping vehicles, or if you have to do off-road recovery and you got a dead vehicle, you need a winch in the trailer. So this thing's basically lived a very utilitarian life as opposed to on like an extreme wheeler. But I think what we want to do, since we have it and since we're putting a front receiver on this thing, I want to make sure that there's enough stick out. Set this down here. I want to make sure that there is enough stick out on here that I can use that winch on the front of this trunk. So all I need to do is make sure that the winch will clear here. How much room do we need? All right, well, anyway you look at it, we got to cut this tube, so I guess that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to cut the tube. come back and we can actually mock this up a little better. All right, this is enough to get us going. Don't have to worry about the seam in this. It's in the corner, which is perfect for us because it will just slide right on. So, perfect. So I'm gonna get this thing in the drill press. We're gonna punch a hole in it, and then we can come back, put our strap on, and then we will see how this thing fits in the front of the truck. All right, let's see how far off we are, shall we? Oop. Oh yeah, perfect. All right, let's get our strap welded around this thing, and then we can fit her up in there. All right, our receiver is done, ready to be fit up in the truck. Very hot, and I have things that I should be doing anyways, so we're just gonna let this cool, and I'll come back to this tomorrow. All right, it's the next day. I have my receiver just precariously balanced here, but it looks like right here is going to be perfect for the winch. Looks like I'm gonna have maybe a ½ inch clearance against the trim on the bumper here, but that's perfect. I want it pulled in as tight as possible because I don't want this thing to be a big rock anchor sticking out of the front. So I'm gonna squeak under here, take a couple measurements, put a tack on it real quick, and then we're gonna take the bumper back off again so I can get in here and actually do all the final welding. All right, that is not level. All right, I'm gonna make some adjustments here, and I'm gonna get this tacked in place a little better. All right, that's welded in. It's not going anywhere, but we're not stopping there. I don't believe that this cross member is rigid enough to support the full weight of the vehicle, like if we were winching or whatnot. The tube is only 120 wall, which would be fine for a spring hanger, but I don't believe it's adequate for a front receiver. So I'm going to design some kind of brace. I'm not sure yet. Maybe we'll grab some scrap tube off the wall or something. I want to come in back here, and I think we're gonna try and hit over there and land on the frame just in front of the steering box. And then we'll do the same thing on this side. Come over and land somewhere over here. Maybe we'll even use one of these two holes in the frame there. I'm not sure yet. I'm gonna grab some scraps, tinker, and see what I can come up with. And then once I get it sorted, I'll show you what I got. All right, check that out. We got some scrap, 1-inch pipe, and it looks like it's going to work out perfectly. We can fit in right here, and then the other end will land just in front of the steering box. It's just enough room for me to squeeze my fingers in there. I'm not going to weld it to the frame though, because that would defeat the purpose of having a bolt-in leaf spring hanger. So I'm going to rummage around. I'm going to find a piece of steel. Maybe I can get a piece of flat stock and get it bolted up here that we can weld this to, and then we'll weld that up here, and then we'll do the same thing over again on the other side. Okay, first plate made and installed. That was kind of a pain, actually. I anticipated how hard it would be to fit a drill in that space, but nonetheless, that's done. Now I just got to get in here and do a little more fitting now that I got my piece of plate in there, I'll do a little bit of grinding, get this fit in here real nice, and then we'll get her tacked in. Driver's side is in, and passenger side is now done as well. So you can kind of see where our frame tie-ins landed. So I'm pretty happy with how that came out. So now we're just going to wait for this paint to dry, and then we'll throw the bumper on and see what the finished product looks like. Look at that. Like it was made for the truck or something. Fits in there perfect. Just a little bit of room between the winch and the bumper. I'm digging it, man. This is cool. All right, so here we have it, the finished product. I'm super happy with this. This came out way cooler than I thought it was going to be. I was concerned this thing was going to end up in some stupid spot or hidden way underneath where you couldn't really access it, but it actually worked out really well. So super excited. Hopefully we never have to put a winch on the front of this thing, but you know, if we ever have to, now we have the ability. So obviously we haven't done any electrical yet. There's a lot of electrical that's going to get done on this truck in the future, so I'm not even worried about that one right now. I think next week we're going to dig in and we're going to start on the brake system and try and get all that done, and then from there maybe we'll move to the fuel system or something. I don't know, we'll figure it out, but at least now we are one step closer to making this thing a driver. So thanks for watching.